There's a 6'8", 230-pound wing rotting away in San Antonio who could be available to the Knicks for absolutely really nothing. And he represents what we need right now and what could pay off in the future. Hit that rock. Before we get started, make sure to hit the like, subscribe to the channel, make sure to hit the dark notification bell to get each and every notification for each and every video I put out. There's your boy Gmo Legion Knicks. Let's get it. So the Knicks have struggled to find some type of winning consistency coming out of that NBA Cup against the San Antonio Spurs. They've been in the rumor mills for several names. Obviously, guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo, every team in the NBA wants him. Guys like Najee Marshall, Jose Alvarado, just to name a few. But there's one player in San Antonio right now that could fit what the Knicks need right now, especially on the defensive end and positionally, as well as what could benefit them in the future, given what they've sold us regarding their coaching staff and the development route they want to take. And that's your man, 6'8", 230-pound forward Jeremy Sohan out of Baylor, the 9th pick in the 2022 draft. Now, coming out of Baylor, your man Jeremy Sohan was always looked at as an offensive project, but somebody who could pay dividends now on the defensive end, given his measurables and his abilities. However, with the arrival of Wembanyama and some, rumors that Jeremy Sohan didn't really gel well, wasn't passing to Wembanyama, and then the success they saw with Wembanyama, the Spurs have seemed to kind of put Jeremy Sohan on the back burner. Now, this season, Jeremy Sohan is averaging 4.7 points on 48% shooting from the field, but a weak 27.3% from three, 59.7% from the stripe, which is really ugly, to go along with 3 rebounds, 1.2 assists, 0.4 steals, and 0.2 blocks a game. These are all career lows, as his minutes have almost halved from 25 last season to around 14 this season. And his usage dropped from 19% last season to around 15% this season. Now, last season, Jeremy Sohan averaged 11.4 points a game on 53.5% shooting from the field, 30.8% from three, and 59% from the stripe, to go along with 6.5 rebounds, 2.4 assists, 0.8 steals, and 0.5 blocks a game. These aren't eye-popping numbers, but it was always known that Jeremy was a project with some defensive and connector abilities and upside if he figured it out. Unfortunately, time was also a factor that needed to be afforded to Jeremy, and unfortunately, it looks like the Spurs are all but out on that project regarding Jeremy Sohan. Now, unfortunately, in Mitch Johnson's system, which he predicates off of an idea of pace and space, right? Pushing the ball in transition, putting a lot of speed in half-court sets if they can, as well as be able to space the floor. They already have Stephen Castle, who's kind of like the guy they allow to not be a great shooter, just because Stephen Castle provides so much on both ends of the floor in terms of his offense, facilitating, attacking the basket, as well as his tough, rugged defense at the point of attack from anywhere from the 1 to the 3. And given Sohan's limited ability, which really is just, on the offensive end at least, it's just cutting to the basket, transition play, as a facilitator, which means he has to be on the ball, he hasn't really provided that off-ball ability to fit in that offense. You look at some of the splits and some of the numbers when he's playing in there alongside Stephen Castle, and it's not the prettiest. Now, the Spurs have favored Julian Champagne, who, despite only shooting around 34% from three, unless he's playing the Knicks, at least provides you a little bit more of that off-ball catch-and-shoot ability that fits the offense a lot better than Jeremy Sohan. And coming out of college from Baylor, granted they won a championship before he got there, but still the profile on Jeremy Sohan was that he's going to be this big, agile wing who could defend anywhere from the 1 to the 4, could be really annoying, pesky, tenacious on defense, a player who could defend both vertically as well as laterally. Unfortunately, it just did not translate to team success, where the Spurs, for his first several years in the league, Jeremy Sohan's defense did not translate to better numbers, whether he was on or off the floor defensively for the Spurs. And this season, I believe the Spurs are actually 7 to 8 points worse when he's on the court versus when he's off. Now, unfortunately for Jeremy Sohan, given that it's the Wembanyama era, they're putting all their development and time and focus into building out the best version of Wembanyama to get back into the championship ranks. But that's where things come into place with him in New York. a lot of things he's doing over there in San Antonio that really hasn't translated, I think actually translates better in New York. Now, despite being limited offensively, a lot of what Sohan was limited to doing, cutting to the basket, finishing right at the basket, not having to self-create, is something that actually bodes well in one of the core tenets of Mike Brown's offense, which is a lot of off-ball movement. In this case, a lot of twirl action where there's the on-ball facilitator on one pinch and a lot of screens and movements on the opposite pitch where Sohan could curl around. He could be the guy to set a screen for other players and curl around and come and get the ball near the top of the key or closer to the facilitator. On the strong side, maybe catch a pass from a cat after he curls around if he doesn't get the initial handoff and get to the basket, or in that twirl action be the initial cutter to the basket where if there's confusion by the defenders, then he gets an easy bucket right underneath the basket. Also buy into what Mike Brown's been trying to make Town into, which is a pinch post facilitator, something he did with Sabonis. Now, in this case, given the fact that Sohan can pass relatively well and Cat allegedly doesn't know what he's doing in the system, even though I think some of that has been kind of quelled, I could definitely see him being utilized as that strong side pinch facilitator in that tour action. So when you look at a guy like Sohan, I think he fits really well in an offense that tries to get open shots for kind of like linear, non-creator type of players like OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, and in this case, Jeremy Sohan. Now, another place where Jeremy Sohan fits well within the Knicks offense is the contested rebounding, where last season he ranked 14th in contested rebounds overall and was tied for 9th in contested offensive rebounds out of all forwards. Now, people may say, well, the Knicks are always ranking good in offensive rebounding and second chance opportunities. That's true. The Knicks currently right now are 4th in offensive rebounding. And overall for the season, we're at least top 5 in putback points per miss and putback plays per miss, and around 13th in putback points per play. But we know where most of that's coming from. That's typically Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson. And when Josh Hart was out with that injury around 8 games where the Knicks went 3-5, the Knicks were what? Around 10th in putback plays per miss, around 15th in putback points per play, and 23rd in putback points per play. We know how important second chance opportunities are, especially with the defense is still trying to find its way. And so we need the second chance opportunities for this offense, especially when Jalen Brunson is out. And boneheads like Karl-Anthony Towns cannot carry the offense. Guys are missing open shots. Mikal, OG Anunoby. And so the Knicks need every second chance opportunity possible when those things occur. And so our defense gets better. We need that. And again, with Mitchell Robinson just being injury prone, you can't play him on back-to-back games. And Josh Hart is going to be the limited player, the limited hustle player. Jeremy Sohan's contested rebounds definitely would be a major asset in this offense. Now, the big elephant in the room is Jeremy Sohan's poor shooting. He was a poor outside shooter in college. He's been a poor outside shooter and free throw shooter overall in the NBA. Now, the reason why I still have high hopes if we bring him over here is because we got a weapon in Peter Patton, brought over from Chicago Bulls. And it seems to have had some success with the Bulls. The reason why they're so pissed that he left. Now, you look at 2 players that I want to focus on is Josh Giddey, Ayo Dosunmu. Ayo Dosunmu's had, I wouldn't say wanky, but somewhat of issues with his shooting come out of college, Illinois, and Josh Giddey coming into NBA was never a good shooter. Now, they've both professed their respect and admiration for Peter Patton, all the work he's done with them. Ayo Dosunmu spoke about Peter Patton helping him improve his jump shot by having him constantly take a bunch of reps in game time simulations. And when you look at their shot forms now, Ayo Dosunmu's shot form necessarily wasn't that janky, and he shot okay in the NBA. Now, I think the past 2 seasons have been shooting a lot better from the outside, but when you look at his form, not much has changed. The only real big difference is that there's less of a leg kick, which means better stability, better balance, and the release is a little bit quicker. So that means there's, as some nerds will say, better proprioception in terms of your muscles and all the inner workings. I'm not a scientist, but essentially all those being better in tune with each other, right? If you look at certain players, you look at a guy like Steph Curry, you would say he has 1,000,000,000% proprioception, 100,000% proprioception. Everything's aligned, everything's perfect. Mitchell Robinson, probably not so much. I mean, look at a guy like Josh Giddey, too. When he came into the league, his shooting form was very mechanical, right? He kind of had like a hitch to it. Look at him now. It's a lot smoother, but a lot of his shot form has not changed. Still elbows out. He kind of does this knuckleball thing where he kind of fixes his grip on the ball before he shoots the shot. But it's a lot quicker, a lot fluid. You know what's been taken out? You look at the film on him, that leg kick is taken out. So better stability, better balance, and again, a faster release. Now, people say, well, if it's not much change, but that's the beauty of it. There doesn't need to be too much change with the shot. He doesn't have to go through this whole reformation to improve his jumper. If the Knicks feel like they have faith in your man Peter Patton, they talk about development, you bring in a guy like Jeremy Sohan, who doesn't probably need too much to tweak in a shot. You have a major asset going forward. Now for the defense. This is interesting. Jeremy Sohan, 2024-25 season, put up some pretty impressive numbers. Again, it's not a crazy amount of data information, but last year he definitely showed out against some of the league's best. Just to give you some of the field goal percentage numbers of some of the players that he's had to guard, what they're able to do against him. Kristaps Porzingis last year, 0%, 0 for 6 against Jeremy Sohan. Damian Lillard, 0%, 0 for 4 from the field. Alperen Sengun, 16.7%, 1 for 6 from the field. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 25%, 3 for 12 from the field. Julius Randle, 27.3%, 3 for 11 from the field. Luka Doncic, 30%, 6 for 20 from the field. Zion Williamson, 33%, 4 for 12 from the field. Jalen Brunson, 33%, 2 for 6 from the field. And Anthony Edwards, 40%, 10 for 25 from the field versus Jeremy Sohan. And the reason why he put such impressive numbers up last year is because of his versatility and his physical profile. Look, this year the defense has taken a dip. I think, again, him being out of the lineup, him getting his numbers or his minutes cut almost by half, takes a lot out of him. And look, to me, you have to go out there and perform, right? I'm not trying to make no excuse for him, but I can understand why his defense isn't as good. He's just a weird fit within the rotation and the lineup overall. But the verticality, the lateral ability, his ability to play point of attack, to play off the ball, to tag, to play in the pick and roll, I think fits spectacularly in this defense where we lack adequate tag defense. We lack adequate help defense in the paint. We lack adequate point of attack defenders. Yes, I know we have OG. I know we have Mikal Bridges, but honestly, because a team doesn't play great team defense, we need even more of that. Now, you look at some of his other numbers. Look at his isolation numbers. 2024-25, Sohan ranked in the 87th percentile in isolation defense, which would put him right up there near the top of the list with the Knicks. I think like OG, and I want to say Maccabi. I want to say OG probably had better numbers on the Knicks. Now, you look at his pick and roll ability last season, the Knicks ranked 14%, ranked in the 14th percentile as a team this season. But when you look at what Sohan did last year, he ranked in the 68th percentile as a defender off the pick and roll against a pick and roll ball handler, which would be second best this season to Jalen Brunson, which is actually sad because you would think Mikal or OG would figure in, but Mikal gets screened off and then Cat plays drop. Anyway, top of another day, I won't even get all into that. But those isolation numbers from last year and the pick and roll numbers from last year should definitely not be ignored. I know you want to see it this year, but it's just not the same. It is what it is. But we're talking about a guy who could fight over screens. We're talking about a guy that if he has to go under, even if he has a shooter on him, he can close out because of the length and his ability to stay close on the screen. He can fight through them. He can go over them, under them. He's so versatile off of this. And just to have that option out there to where you can't just switch away. You can't just keep picking on, say, Mikal Bridges per se or OG. I'm going to say pick on OG, but you'd have to also kind of pick your poison with Sohan, because he's probably most likely going to be on that team, whichever team or whatever rotation's best ball handler is at the moment. And so Jeremy Sohan, man, I know it's flashes, but everything you see from this guy outside of the shooting, I just think bodes so well for this Knicks squad. And we need another versatile defender. We need a connector. We need somebody to go out there to hustle. Because, again, this team's spirit is dead. You bring Jeremy Sohan with that ugly green hair. Somebody give him an anime character name or something like that and get this guy invigorated. Get him feeling that he has a role in the squad. He's making key play after key play on defense. That builds up his confidence and what the work that I expect him to do with Peter Patton to improve his jump shot. He makes his first catch and shoot for the Knicks in a big spot. you have a major weapon. Now, granted, you look at his contract, I think he's making around $7 million. He's a restricted free agent next year, but I do not think the Spurs are going to be holding on to him. If you could flip a Yabusele Pacome and somebody else to bring him over here, obviously being second everyone, so well, it's going to be a little bit tough. But if the Knicks can make it work, Brock Aller and Brock we trust, and guns we bust. Anyway, sorry, my bad. But I want to have Jeremy Sohan on this team. I would love to trade for him. Let me know your thoughts in your comments. Should we trade for Jeremy Sohan? How do you feel about his struggles this year with the Spurs? How do you feel about his overall shooting struggles? Do you believe in Peter Patton? Do you think that he could become a defensive sieve under Mike Brown, even with limited minutes? Because he's most likely not going to get 28 minutes, 25 minutes, a night. It's probably going to be around that 15, 16, 17. But sometimes changes of scenery and getting the surety of a role on a squad, I think can help boost up your numbers, can help improve your production. We need to get our own little Ryan Rollins project. Not to say he plays like Ryan Rollins, but to have that player who's an afterthought on one team come over and be a major contributor for a playoff team. I think Jeremy Sohan can definitely be it. But guys, let me know your thoughts, your comments. Your boy G. Malik, Knicks. I appreciate you. Peace, God bless. I'll catch you guys on the next one.